Hello, and welcome to my new podcast, Unifygods. I am your host, Kina. If you're anything like me, you probably clicked on this because you want answers to life's most mysterious questions. Or maybe you are on your own spiritual journey and confused about the kind of higher power you should connect to. This podcast is not to tell you who to worship. I personally believe everyone is on their own path to discerning what exactly it means to connect to the divine. Whether you are agnostic, atheist, Christian, Buddhist, or etc., this podcast is for anyone with a curious and open mind when it comes to the gods of the past, present, and future, perhaps? To some, these deities are revered as beings with immense powers who gifted humanity with knowledge, responsible for the evolution of human civilization from early primates to modern Homo sapiens. Others deem these entities as fallen angels or even demons meant to trick and deceive humans and create destruction. Some people even claim they're extraterrestrials, advanced beings with foreign technology way beyond our comprehension. Others truly believe they are gods or manifestations of the divine and are even worshipped to this day. One thing is clear though, nobody knows the origin of these entities, and their true intentions is one that has been speculated for thousands of years. In this podcast, we will explore the pantheon of deities in different religions all over the world. We will explore sacred ancient texts, people's personal experiences or claims, hieroglyphs and ancient artifacts, and draw comparisons as well as differences with different deities in multiple cultures. I may share some of my personal experiences at some point, but my intention is to really just focus on things that are more credible and avoid unintentionally swaying someone from making their own opinion. I may make jokes at times though. Besides, anything that I have experienced in the past and tried to make sense of often changes with time. As in, I get more information and my perspective on my experience may shift. So I don't want to pretend I'm sure of something and later on it backfires because I am making a different claim. With that said, I am only human. I too struggle with cognitive dissonance, and I am very speculative even when it comes to my own subjective experience, because the brain is a multifaceted, complex structure for trying to make sense of what we call reality. And many things can tie into what one experiences, such as chemical imbalances and/or trauma, or even being under the influence of substances. There is a fine line between what one deems as a vision or a hallucination. A lot of this depends on your culture, your mental health status, your personal beliefs, and so on. In Peru, a shaman may be considered a well-respected bridge between two worlds, the physical and spirit realm. And in Western civilization, that same shaman may just be considered and labeled as someone with an identity crisis or disorder, or even a schizophrenic. I am not here to argue or debate what is what, because I really don't know. I would like to think there is some way for science and spirituality to intersect. But as of now, I am more intrigued with just hearing people out with an open mind, not entirely dismissing them or flat out believing them either. I am somewhere in between, which is one of the reasons why I called this episode The One and the Many. Our reality seems to be based on the principle of duality. Black and white, up and down, light and dark. It is easy to see everything as two opposing forces trying to find a balance. We separate good from bad and see it as two things that can never be a whole. I challenge you to try to see beyond this separation and embrace the possibility that it may be two sides of the same coin. What do I mean by that? Well, Not to get political, but in today's world, we can use the analogy to describe this separation in politics. In America, we usually just think of Republican versus Democrat, but some people will argue that regardless of the political party certain leaders claim to be, they actually work for the same entity, whoever that may be. They are more like puppets, picking a side and playing a certain role to sway the people to vote for a certain party. But behind the scenes, there are bigger, unseen, and even unknown forces at play. What does this have to do with duality? Well, again, I challenge you to ask yourself, is it possible that these gods of the past are not necessarily good or bad or right or wrong, but just manifestations of the true source of all creation? What if they masquerade as certain powerful beings, different shapes and forms, but what if they are just a part of the permeating consciousness that exists in all creatures, even you and I? Does that make them worthy of our praise? Or do people just worship them out of fear of what they are supposedly capable of? Whether it be threats of eternal punishment, or bringing fire from the sky, or turning people into pillars of salt, or even possession. I do not blame humanity for bowing to some of these entities. If what people have claimed is correct, then it is beyond terrifying. I want to remind humans, though, that even other humans can make your life a living hell. Sometimes, even your own government. What is concerning, though, if any of these beings have some sort of say in the afterlife, if there is one, then yeah, maybe we should bow to them. Joking, but not really. At the end of the day, I think just trying to be a kind person, respect all living beings regardless of how small or big or whatever religious or cultural differences you have, you hopefully can't go wrong. And whatever is beyond this realm will show some compassion towards us. I often think about Anubis, the ancient Egyptian god of the dead. He is often associated with mummification and judgment, guiding souls through the underworld, and depicted as a figure with the head of a canine that ironically looks like my Chihuahua. No offense, Anubis. My Chihuahua is pretty adorable and ferocious at the same time. But anyways, back to the story. So Anubis' key role was in the weighing of the heart ceremony. This is where the souls of the dead are judged to determine if they are worthy of entering the afterlife. The deceased's heart was believed to hold all their thoughts, deeds, and intentions from life. It was placed on a golden scale and weighed against the feather of Ma'at, the goddess of truth, balance, and cosmic order. If the heart was as light as a feather, the person was deemed as righteous and said to have lived a balanced life aligned with truth and justice. And then they'd be welcomed into the field of reeds, which is essentially their version of what we call heaven. But if the heart was heavy, full of bullshit, it would tip the scale, and the soul was condemned, and the monstrous demon or goddess, duality again, Amit, would devour the heart. She was part lion, part crocodile, and part hippopotamus. All animals that don't fuck around, I might add. This meant the person's soul would be destroyed forever, and they would cease to exist. So moral of the story, just be kind and try to have the courage to stick up for what is right. Am I saying this is true? I don't know. But I'm not taking any chances with no feminine energy that is part crocodile, lion, or hippopotamus. Crikey. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. podcast is sponsored by, well, technically nobody yet, but that's okay. That doesn't mean we can't have ad breaks. So I'm here to advertise my new song, American Dream, on all streaming platforms now. If you want to listen to it, all you have to do is click the link in the description box. Or you can search me by my artist name, Kina the Psychedelic Queen. If you want to know what this song is about, well, I'm not gonna lie, it's a little intense. It's really to expose what is currently going on in our country and highlight the struggles that many marginalized groups face today. Discrimination, poverty, chasing the American dream. I hope you guys will give it a listen. I hope it speaks to you, and I hope you share it with someone. Okay, we are back. And moving on. I want to share a quote from a book I used to own. It is called DMT Dialogues, Encounters with the Spirit Molecule. The quote appears in an account where the speaker describes an experience under the influence of DMT, aka dimethyltryptamine, which is a powerful hallucinogenic drug known to pretty much take you out of this reality and throw you into other so-called dimensions or realms, and a lot of people claim to meet entities or gods or demons or aliens, machine elves, jesters, etc. So, this person claims they were grabbed by a demonic-like entity, and this entity says to them, "You ignorant humans, you really think it goes you, then God. You're so bloody arrogant. Let me tell you, just as an ant is a god to a single cell, amoeba, and as a dog is a god to an ant, and as a man is a god to a dog, it goes on in many, many, many more layers from man before one reaches the Godhead. The ant can destroy the amoeba. The dog can piss all over the ant's nest. The man can cut the dog's throat. In that order, it's so simple. And yes, at the end, there is the cosmic mind, pure consciousness, the God of everything. And we are all one. But between that and you, there are layers and layers of what you call gods. The ancient Egyptians, the Greeks, the Romans, all pagans, they had it right in their multi-god beliefs. But you've gone way wrong with your single god theory. I love this quote because it really ties into what I've named my podcast, Unifygods, which is really a short way of summing up what that quote essentially is claiming, which is that, yes, there are many types of divine entities, but ultimately, they are all manifestations of the one true consciousness that permeates every living being. In the end, separateness is the biggest illusion, but this does not discredit the fact that while we are in these separate bodies, there is a certain hierarchy of entities that we should respect. And perhaps it is the ego that creates this hierarchy. So at the same time, I would say do not give your power away to anything that feels inherently evil for protection's sake. I think you can respect something without surrendering completely to it. But with that said, the universe will humble you, need be. Do you really need to have a face-off with a lion to understand you are no match for the physical capabilities it has? Do you really need to meet a demon to see if it can drag you to the pits of hell? Sometimes the answer is yes. Our egos can dismiss things that are more powerful than us. And humans often think we can challenge other animals with wits, regardless of how strong they are. In some situations, yes. But if you are stranded alone in the ocean and a great white is hungry, your wits may not be enough to save you alone. I want to share another quote. This one is from a sacred Hindu text called the Isha Upanishad. And correct me if my pronunciation is wrong, I'm sorry. I'm not Hindu. It is often the first in printed or traditional Upanishad collections. But it is not the first written or the oldest. It's more like a popular starting point for study and reflection. The text is made up of 18 verses or mantras. It is in Sanskrit. But obviously the version I have read is in English. The verse I want to share states, "All manifestation is merely a modification of the one supreme whole, and neither increases nor diminishes it. The whole therefore remains unaltered." I love this because it really, again, just sums up the name of my podcast. How all is connected, and looking past the illusion of separateness and duality really just makes you see the underlying connectedness in everything. At the heart of Hinduism is the core idea that all is one, or non-duality. It may seem hard to understand, especially for us who were raised in monotheistic religions such as Christianity, because we are taught that there is a clear distinction between good and evil. It can also seem counterintuitive because Hinduism has a pantheon of many gods. But the central belief is that every living being is a manifestation of the divine. This extends to the gods and humans, aliens, animals, no matter how big or small, and yes, even microscopic beings. Each plays an important and critical role in the play of creation. This source of all consciousness is called the ultimate reality, or Brahman. It is not a god in a personal sense, but it is formless, infinite, eternal, and beyond time, space, and matter. It is not separate from the universe. It is the essence of everything. It is the truest part of you, your inner being and awareness, which means we are not separate from Brahman. God is within you. You know how Christians say we are made in God's image? Perhaps it is not to say we're made man because God is a man. Perhaps it goes deeper than that. If God's image is an infinite expression of different selves, beings, bodies, then perhaps to be made in God's image means we are all a unique reflection of the divine. All right, we're going to take another quick break and we will be right back. And we're back. So, how is this all relevant in today's world? Obviously, in terms of spirituality, I think it's very important to be aware of the connectedness in every living thing because it makes you more compassionate. It makes you see all humans and other life forms as a reflection of yourself. I know in today's world, a lot of religion has created this feeling of separation from each other. You know, there's a lot of people who think, my religion is right. My God is the one true God. And that can create a sense of not just disconnect, but your ego can take that and almost make you believe that you are better than other people because you think what you believe is right. I think that really goes against what all religions are ultimately trying to show us, which is that we all should be compassionate towards each other. We should have empathy. We should love. We should be united, regardless of what race or religion we are, what deity we pray to. I feel like as long as you are not intentionally harming others or controlling or manipulating them, then there's nothing wrong with believing in something, even if someone else doesn't agree with it. Again, if you are not hurting someone. But let's have a little fun. I want to get a little bit into the conspiracy side of things. So if you remember at the beginning of this podcast, I said something, and I'm not sure if any of you guys caught it, but I said, we're going to talk about gods of the past, present, and possible future, perhaps? What did I mean by that last part? As many of you might know, there have been a lot of UAP sightings lately. As a matter of fact, it isn't really something that's new. UFOs or UAPs have been sighted since really some of the earliest religions. But this is something you might see in the mainstream media or on YouTube. There's tons of channels that cover different people's claims and experiences when it comes to being abducted or seeing UFOs. So, if you study a lot of ancient religions, there's a lot of similarities between stories of entities coming from the sky or the water. If you know anything about UFOs or UAPs, is that most of them are seen in the sky or coming out of water. So that's why I said gods of the future, perhaps, because some people believe these entities of the past are going to come back. Some people think they're already here. Some people even think that one day they're just going to reveal themselves to humanity. So, and again, this is really just to poke fun and experiment. And of course, it can be serious if there is any truth to this. But what happens if the day comes where these entities do reveal themselves? What if they are extraterrestrials? Does that make them gods? Does that mean we have to worship them? Well, what if they have foreign technology or powers that we've never seen, or things that we can't, control? You hear a lot about telepathy, mind control, abduction when it comes to these stories of UFO sightings or having close encounters with these entities. So what happens when you have no control over an entity that has so much more power and knowledge than you? Do you fall to your knees? Do you run away and hide? Does it only have power in this physical realm? Or do they also have say in the afterlife? Are they even physical beings? Are they ethereal? Are they interdimensional entities that have the ability to manifest physically at certain times or using certain techniques? these are all questions that keep me up at night. But don't overwhelm yourself. Nobody knows yet. So I will close this episode with that. Just a fun thing to think about. Don't get scared though. Or maybe we should be. I don't know. For our next episode though, we'll get more into the actual deities of different cultures. We're going to get into Hindu culture. We're going to get into what the Mayans believed, the Aztecs, the Incas. All these vast civilizations that still influence us today. I'm very excited to go on this journey with you. This is a topic that has always fascinated me ever since I found out, wow, this world's kind of weird. Especially looking back at what ancient people claim, whether it be through legends, hieroglyphs, sacred texts. It almost seems as if they were aware of something that we aren't. As Graham Hancock likes to put it, we are a species with amnesia. So let's try to wake up.